Hey everybody, welcome to the new lesson. This time we're looking at the slower side of some very famous guitar shredders. I'm going to talk you through some of the technical things that you're going to encounter in each part. In the first part, which is Dave Murray's part, you're going to have to get to grips with the idea of hammering on, pulling off and then sliding. So that's the basic movement there, which is pick, hammer, pull off, slide. And Dave does loads of that sort of stuff. Check out his solos in Still Life and Power Slave, which you'll see that demonstrated brilliantly. Next up is John Petrucci's part. John always picks really good, strong chord tones. And in this part, what I've attempted to do is to show how when each new chord change comes along, there's a strong dominant chord tone in there. In terms of technique, be aware of this. That point where you pick that note, bend it, and then bring it back to pitch again before sliding away from it. Yeah, and then you've got a pre-bend following that as well. So beware of these little details like this, and then you've got this. Make sure that's nice and staccato, like I'm doing it there, instead of. I mean, you could play it like that, but the way I've written it is gives you an opportunity to work with picking dynamics. What you're going to see in Steve Vai's part is sliding from above and below to get notes. For example, this part here, that's a very common Vai trait, which is that. So when you want to get that note there at the top, I'm sliding from below. Then when I'm going to a lower note, I'm sliding down. See? You can sort of see the visual relationship between the sound that's happening as well. Next up is Alex Skolnick. What I'm doing here is trying to emphasize Alex's kind of use of semi-pinch harmonics. You know, he has this very bright sort of chiming sound to his lead playing where he uses a lot of pinch harmonics, but not quite full-on, you know, squealing stuff, but just a semi-pinch harmonic going on, so you can get that there. And then another thing to note is his use of arpeggios, not necessarily just in a full-on sweep, but in the way they climb up. So you've got an A minor arpeggio there, which is using alternate picking with the picking hand, and then using the fretting hand to jump up and then jump back down again to climb up it, instead of just going like that. Okay, so that's something you'll see a lot in Alex's playing. The Jason Becker section is going to be very demanding on your fingers. There's lots of really heavy, passionate vibrato in this part. And you've got to slide up to that note on the, what is that, the 20th fret there. That can be a bit tough. That's going to sort of wear out your fingertips there. Then this arpeggio that comes next. To get the Jason Becker sort of sound, instead of muting all your sweep picking arpeggios like most people do, keep them very clean instead. Try not to mute them. You might find that by moving your picking hand a bit forward towards the neck pickup, you're able to control a lot of the extra string noise, but without actually adding palm muting to the sound of it. In the Marty Friedman section, again, you're going to encounter more really wide, heavy vibrato, much like the Jason Becker part before it. Marty's thing is bending from outside tones. He's got this very quirky sound, and it's brilliant. So, for example, here, instead of just going straight for that E note there, he hits the D sharp and then bends up a semitone. And that's the essence of what a lot of Marty Friedman does, is using a kind of odd sounding note which sounds like, oh hey, that sounds wrong, and then making it right. And that's just got a brilliant oriental quirk to it. It's just excellent. So his section is full of bending from outside tones. You'll have to get used to that. It's really cool. The Adrian Smith part, I started with an open string lick. He does a lot of kind of stuff like that, like the beginning of the Wasted Years solo. Uses some more open strings and the Wicker Man solo and things like that. But we've got this really melodic. Keep those notes really clean. Use your right hand, kind of mute unwanted string notes there. You know, keep it really nice. Make sure each note is very clear and as thick as it can be. So avoid any unwanted string ringing. Then you've got this nice, this kind of blues lick, where you slide from an outside position, or slide from an above position, I should say. Slide into it there, and then do the same again, and then end with some nice heavy vibrato, and Adrian does a lot of that stuff. For the Synyster Gates section, technically there's nothing too demanding, but you've really got to be on it with your timing and the precision of your bends. So this sort of stuff, make sure you're right on pitch. You notice that we don't go straight to, you've got a bit of a hammer on there, so, and then That's a nice opportunity for alternate picking there. You can actually even isolate that and use that as a picking exercise. And then you've got to slide up. So beware of getting the right fret, obviously. But this part, not too technically demanding, but beware of precision with bends and timing. In the Vinnie Moore part, you've got this tricky little lick, because you've just come up from here. And because, depending on how you play, I'm using my second finger on that note. So it makes sense for me to then use my third finger to begin this lick, but then I resort to the second and first finger afterwards. So it's just a case of reach. And then you've got this lovely little picking lick here. I use palm muting for that, just to make the notes leap out, alright? So by the time you get to the B string, you won't want to play that with muting, otherwise it'll sound like that. You want that to ring out, okay? For the Tony MacAlpine part, the technical thing you're going to want to watch out for is this. That little descending lick. And I just use a combination of my second and third finger for the first part, and then from there it's just first finger and third finger. Just keep your coordination, make sure that your picking and your fretting hand are working together, and then from there it's just a case of making sure you're not hitting the wrong fret. But technically it's quite simple. In this next section for Randy Rhoads, you'll notice that I'm using some downstrokes for a lot of this stuff, especially this part. I want to add some strength to that, so by doing it that way, it's just adding some nice momentum, some nice attitude, and also you'll notice occasionally I'm getting some sort of semi-pinch harmonic sounds there. Just gives a bit of brightness and lightness to the sound. At the end of this part, you've got this really cool hammer-on section. And then that sort of precise bend at the end. Randy does a lot of bends like that. For the hammer-ons, it's just 2 hammer-ons. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Nice and easy. In the next section for Zakk Wylde, you'll notice some tapping and bending. So you bend up, tap, let go with the tapping finger, sounding the note again. This next section is a bit, the next part is different because you have to tap whilst simultaneously pushing up with the fretting hand. You have to go. So you'll notice that my fretting finger is on the 7th fret there. I'm going to tap the 14th fret and simultaneously use my left hand to fret the 9th fret ready for when I let go with the tapping finger. See? And then from there it's just some pentatonics. And then just try and add some palm muting to that to get the notes to leap out like that, really nice and aggressive like Zakk does. For the next part, for Nuno Bettencourt, you've got some bending going on, but the part to draw your attention to is the ending part. I'm using upstrokes for that part, and I'm trying to sort of add some pinch harmonics to it at the same time. Following that is a tricky little descending arpeggio. There's 2 different timings going on. We've got some triplets, and then you move on to eighth notes, I believe it is. Something like that. Check out the tab, I can't quite remember. Typical musician, can play it, can't tell anyone about it. You know the typical joke, just put music in front of us, then we stop playing. During the Buckethead section, nothing too technically demanding, it's very melodic and bluesy kind of sounding. The first part though has like a minor pentatonic repetitive lick in B minor. So we've got this going on there, so start with the downstroke and then just use alternate picking for that. The way I'm playing it is I'm using my first finger to slide from the 6th fret to the 7th fret on the G string, yeah? It's just better than going, because there's too much stretching going on there, so use the slide. Then you'll just notice some minor pentatonic stuff. And then you've got this kind of bluesy bend at the end where you pick, bend up, and then pick the string above it. So I do that with a downstroke, then use an upstroke to catch that string on the top E, yeah? For the Kiko Loureiro part, what I got here is a tapping lick taken, inspired by one of his tracks. And you start actually with the fretting hand to hit the first note on the 17th fret. So you've got like a 16th note thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And all the time, the fretting hand is leading. So you got there 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So notice that the little finger is always leading, that's always playing the first note.
Bye.